All right. Is it working? Is it working? Howdy, guys. I think I'm live. I hope I'm live. But if not, I'll just talk to myself. I've done that before, and yeah, that's not nearly as good. But we'll get it all figured out. Hey, welcome all of y'all that are out there. Uh, Let me just start off, as I always do on all my Cliff Notes show. SKD 143. I love my wife. I love my kids, and I love all these fellow Big Brother fans out here. It is so fun on a week in, week out basis talking to all of y'all guys about Big Brother, reality TV, just life in general. So thank you. I know it took extra work today to find me on YouTube Live. I did 39, 40 episodes on the TV Co platform, which was great. And I certainly appreciate the support they gave me. But made the move over to YouTube Live. Wasn't real sure exactly how to make it work, but I think we kind of have it figured out. Now, one thing I was hoping I could actually post the comments on the screen while I'm going through. Oh, they are showing up. Fantastic. Good. Well, that's one less thing I have to take care of them. All of y'all. Hey, so many of y'all out here already. Thank you so much for showing up. It has been a crazy week, right? We had Halloween, but before we had Halloween, we had the finale of Big Brother. And I figure that's a lot of what we could talk about today. But the main thing, the cool thing I like about this the live type of Cliff Notes is, unlike these little 15-minute wrap-ups I was doing every morning during the Big Brother season, I get to talk to y'all. I get to hear y'all's questions, comments, and everything else. And that's the most perfect part about being in the Big Brother house last year that I hadn't counted on, is that when I got out, I got to meet all these fellow fans of the show that I've loved for so many years and talk Big Brother again about it with them, about the show and everything else. That is the cool part. Angie Hung, Howdy, I see you pop up as well. So thank all of y'all who found me out here as we go through this experiment. Before I go any further, any questions, comments about the way the show is done? For those of you who are familiar with YouTube Live or StreamYard, if you've got any advice or anything else, shoot me a DM. Let me know, and I'm open as we go through with it. But with that being said, Easton Nielsen, I want to meet you Sunday, Cliff. Well, Easton, I would be happy to meet you as well. That's the tough part. This COVID night, God, it's so bad. Angie put a thing out. Angie's up in Calgary, and Nicole and Kat and I went up to a nightclub up there last year. She said it was a year ago today, and went up and hung out, just met a lot of people at a meet and greet. That was so much fun. I had a blast doing it there and everywhere else. And then it all shut down with COVID, and just like everything else, I've missed out just getting that meet and greet and getting to talk and visit with so many people. Now, at least we got online. Can y'all imagine what COVID would be like if we didn't have all of this social media and all these ways to stay connected with each other? I don't know how I'd handle that. I'd be watching a whole lot of TV, but I wouldn't get the chance to talk about it and everything else. It just wouldn't be near as much fun. Cliff, are you live streaming during election night? I hadn't thought about that. I don't know. Let me just say this. For those of you who haven't voted yet that are of age and eligible to vote, go do it. If you spent time worrying about who to vote for America's Favorite House Guest in Big Brother last week, then take the time out to go and vote as well. And I don't care who you vote for. Not really. I mean, it's more important that you exercise the right, because we can't have a democracy if people aren't willing to take time out to actually put their opinions in and have some input into who's representing us. So yeah, my little soapbox there for just a second. Go vote tomorrow. But will I be live streaming tomorrow? No, probably, because I'm going to be so focused on the TV trying to see just what is or isn't going on, watching some of the local races and all. Doesn't sound like we're going to know anything about the presidential one for a while, but at least the local races, I'll be curious to see what's going on with it. Mary Raker saying, Big Brother withdrawal is real. Tell me about it. I was staying up all night long watching those overnight feeds so I could do my little 15-minute wrap-ups, which I had a blast doing. But now it's like, well, it's 1 a.m. I don't feel like it's time to go to bed just yet. So I'm having to readjust a little bit to the new schedule. Dolores is saying, have you talked to anyone from the jury or the final three? I talked to David just a little bit, very quick text message. We didn't really go into detail. I told him I was going to give him some time to decompress, and I'd love to visit with him a little bit. Have not talked to anyone else, so I'm kind of in the same boat as y'all are in terms of what I know and don't know and my opinions and everything else. I've talked to Nicole quite a few times, but obviously Nicole was Nicole Anthony. So Nicole was pre-juror, so I talked to her a little bit about what was going on in the house. But again, she was only there for a few weeks before she was home watching with the rest of us. So yeah, I don't know about y'all. I like the finale. We spent all season. Bright Star, is this your first YouTube live? Pretty much. I came on in the middle of the night, like 4 o'clock in the morning last night, just to test out this platform. But I think that's pretty much it for me. Again, I'm learning something. Y'all, I mean, maybe you believe. You're probably saying, yeah, we absolutely believe it, Cliff. Before I was on Big Brother, I had like 8 Twitter followers. I didn't have an Instagram account. I didn't have a YouTube account. This is all completely new to me. So even an old dog can learn new tricks, right? Yeah, this is officially it's my first Instagram live. But I'm going to try to do this probably every Monday. And then we may throw some random ones in here and there as well. Bright Star, YouTube lives are great, very interactive. That's what I like about this is I can see y'all's comments. And even with TV codes, it's a little hard to read comments sometime and keep up. With these, it's so much easier. And that's what I enjoy. Lori's saying you should do some interviews with the house guest. I'd like to, but they're so in demand right now doing interviews with other people who do it all the time. And I'll let them do their thing because really, if I interview him, I think I'd like to ask different questions. Everyone says, oh, do you think Cody should have taken Nicole over Enzo? Same old questions. They've just got canned responses because I've been asked the same ones during my season. I don't know how many times I've been asking Holly over Tommy or all the different questions, battle backs. I want to ask the questions that no one else asks. Like, who did you get most irritated about with regards to them not wanting to eat the food that everyone else was eating? Or who was irritating because they always were making a lot of noise when y'all were trying to sleep? And just the day-to-day of living in that house and some of those questions would be kind of fun to ask them. And ask the questions that no one else thinks to ask, just about the social interaction and not just the strategic play. So, yeah, maybe once it's all done, I'll grab some of those people. And now with YouTube Live, I can bring guests on a little bit easier than I could with past platforms. So, yeah, I'll keep that in mind. Let's see, so much drama after the Big Brother 22 finale. Yeah, I've seen some of that being talked about. And I was always one of those big ones about the game's a game, the people are the people, and let's try not to have the two overlap too much. And even in our season, we've seen some of that, people griping and things like that. And I hope people eventually work it out because at the end of the day, when you play Monopoly, when you play Risk with your family at home, when you get through playing, you move on. You have your turkey dinner or whatever. I wish Big Brother could be the same. Realistically, I get that it's a little bit more than Monopoly or Risk or such, but I'd still like to see it. Angie said, I thought I could finally sleep now that Big Brother 22 is over, but then Cliff went live last night at 3 a.m. You never know when I'm going to pop up, Angie, and maybe I'll have something important to say. Maybe I'll just pop up and say whatever. Shannon said, I just watched your Amazing Race first 3 episodes. Well, thank you. I love Amazing Race. We're going to talk a little bit about Amazing Race here during this next hour or so because I just love the show as much as I've traveled and everything else. And now I'm caught up. So now I'm going to try to do a recap after every episode. I'll drop it within 24 hours or so. And I'll throw in some of my own travel stories. It's pretty cool because so far the countries I've been to all of those countries. So I've got a few travel stories here and there. But talk a little bit about the strategies and everything else. So for those of you who've watched it, maybe we can just have a little conversations about how the game's being played. I love the different teams on there as well. Easton saying Nicole Franzel unfollowed so many people. Yeah, and I hope that's just temporary, just so she's not having to deal with a lot of people talking and all. And once everyone kind of decompresses and chills out, then, they get back to good terms, hopefully, with everyone. I don't know that she's going to, or that she's necessarily going to be looking for Janelle at her wedding, let's say. But hopefully everyone works it out. Again, it's just a game. You just need to do that. No longer watch BB live show if the evicted is wearing a mask and no studio audience. That was kind of strange, wasn't it? Really shouldn't have been Julie wearing a mask and the house guest not wearing one since we knew they weren't affected. But whatever. Minor, I'm not going to worry about that. Whatever they need to do for the optics of COVID and all of that is fine with me. Let's see, what's $500,000 on the line? Yeah, real feelings involved. When you got $500,000, you can't help but feeling a little hurt at the end of the day. I get it. I absolutely get it. And it's not just a $500,000. It's people who are in there wanting to be Instagram influencers who want to change their whole entire career based on being that show. There is a lot of stuff tied up to being a house guest on Big Brother. Me, on the other hand, I just went in to play the game. I just wanted to see if I could fit in with all these youngsters and somehow survive. And I did up until the very end, and then things fell apart a little bit. But now I'm not saying I would turn down that check. No, sirree. But it was. I always kept the game in the forefront of my mind, even though it was $500,000. Some people don't necessarily do that so much. Dolores L said it must be hard to shake the house off, especially after being trapped in a house. Yeah, and Brian Hofstadler, I think, had asked me a question, which I was going to talk about later, but I'll do it right now. He said, how long does it take to decompress from being on Big Brother? And it took me a good couple of months to decompress completely. The first month, the first few weeks I was out of that house, there's still a lot of paranoia, a lot of stress. I was talking about Big Brother on the show, interviews, things like that, but I just was almost tired of it being a 24/7 experience. Nightmares every night, nightmares of I'm having to pick people and I don't know who they are. I realize I haven't talked to them all season long. Just stress dreams like that. That was for about a month. And then probably by the time we got to Christmas time or so, and I've got family, we're focused on Christmas and so many other things. And then it started getting better. And by the time we got into 2020, it was fine. And then we got COVID, and I had to deal with whole new kind of stresses and everything else. But yeah, it took a couple of months of just that feeling of being trapped and of having cameras on you and worrying about every single person and every single comment you say. You always having to be on and always knowing that you're being viewed and criticized and judged. That takes a little while to get used to, but doesn't mean I wouldn't do it again as well. All right, so after watching Big Brother 22, other than Cody, what player changed your opinion on them as a player the most, for the good or the bad? I gotta say the one that impressed me the most, and not because he won the whole thing or anything else, Kaiser. I just loved watching Kaiser play the game, and maybe it's because I only started watching in season 8, so I really didn't have that much experience with him or his game, but he just seemed to be such a nice person, so sincere. Now, you can argue strategy-wise. Seems like he played a little hard at the beginning, but I almost feel like he had to because of the position he was in. But he just seems like the kind of guy that I would love hanging around with if I'd been in that house and having conversations with and everything. So Kaiser just, as a person, really, really struck me. Who else? I don't know. You know, everyone came in there and played their game. There were people, I don't know. There were some people who played the game exactly like they played the seasons before. There were others that I felt tried to change it up a little bit. Obviously, you know, I was cheering on Nicole, Anthony, and David because they were from my season. I was glad to see David last as long as he did. I really think if he had survived that triple, he and Tyler may have been able to do something and take it a little bit further. It just didn't work out. But no, it was fun watching all of them play that game. Let's see. Who's your favorite past race? Mine is Zev. Favorite past racer from Amazing Race. I don't know the names of those racers as much as I know the Big Brother house guest. In some ways, they all just kind of merged together. There's teams that I really enjoyed. Team Fun. I don't think they even knew each other. They just got put together. They just had fun. I have fun watching the people that are very relaxed and chill while they're playing the game, that don't take anything too seriously. The ones that when they finish a challenge, they actually look around and appreciate where they're at instead of just immediately racing to the next challenge. But I tend to cheer on, just because of who I am. Yeah, I'm in my mid-50s, and also I tend to cheer on the older guys that you look at and say, man, watch him run half a mile, see how well he does. Sometimes they're a little bit under the gun on some of the athletic parts of the competitions. Those are the ones I tend to gravitate towards. But yeah, Parker, I don't really know enough of the names to tell you. Gosh, with 2 seasons a year, it seems like there's just so many people who have done amazing races sometimes. Yeah, Alex PSX, who cares about being an influencer? Apparently a whole lot of people, because there's a whole lot. We saw it in Big Brother 22. I think Nicole was talking to some of the others about money to be made and telling Cody he needs to be doing influencing and all that. I guess that's the new trend and new things. And if you can do it, great. But yeah, a lot of people like the influencers. Let's see. Chicky D. Hey, Chicky D. I recognize that name. Will we have Cliff Notes when Survivor comes back on? Yeah, that would be fun to do. Now, there's a lot of people that that cover Survivor, being the granddaddy of reality TV and all that. But yeah, I'd talk about Survivor again. Maybe I'd talk about a little bit different, a little strategy. But I'm always interested in the psyche of the people who are playing this game and who seems to be playing well from a middle standpoint, and who seems to be kind of on the edge, on the verge of cracking up and maybe creating some drama and things like that. One of my favorite players from this from Survivor is Philip, the specialist. Do y'all remember Philip? He wore pink underwear, and that's not why I liked watching him. I liked watching him because he was just a little bit eclectic, a little bit different. He named all the people in his alliance with different nicknames. He was just fun to watch just because he was just different. I always look for different when I'm watching these games. Balin the Hobbit, can you order expensive steaks at the Big Brother house? I wish. I guess you can order them. Doesn't mean you're going to get them. No, we didn't get any food choices other than just what was left for us in the storage room. Once or twice, someone made a special request. Holly, towards the end, requested some coconut milk and some curry paste or something. She tried to do a Thai food meal, which actually was very good. But they gave her a few special items just because we were at the very end. Jackson Mickey obviously made a few requests for watermelons, which seemed to be fulfilled quite often. But no, we don't actually get to order special food. Every once in a while, there was things like milk. If we ran out of milk, I could go into the diary room and say, guys, any chance we can get a little more milk? Because we're out and we got 3 more days before we're refilled. And that typically would happen. But there were other foods like eggs. If you ran out of eggs, and that was just your tough luck because you used them up quicker than you should have. But some of the bigger items, occasionally we'd get extra stuff thrown in. And then there were things like when we did the 9/11 commemoration, we spelled out, never forget or whatever we remember. And we spelled it out in Fruit Loops. And we ran out of Fruit Loops. And so we requested, can we get some more? And they immediately brought more, left them in the storage room for us. So things like that you can get. But yeah, ordering up special steaks and all. Yeah, no. They don't care about that. You ask for it, and there's probably 0 chance that you'll get it just to spite you more than anything else. Let's see. What else? Gracie, this season would have been a good season for older people with less physical competitions. Yeah, there were some competitions that I wish they had during my season. The Final Four, HOH, for us, it was hanging on to that rope. The one they did, I guess, is a Final Three. For us, it was Final Four, getting slammed into a 18-wheeler. There's no way that I could have competed with Nicole or Holly, either one in that competition. They're just not built for that kind of competition. This season, they had night moves where they were moving around like the knight on the chessboard. I could have done that one. I'm pretty confident that if it had been Holly and Nicole and myself playing that night moves HOH competition, I'd be HOH, and I would have been the Final Three. I just, call me cocky. I think I would have done well in that competition. There's a few others this season that I watched on the show. I was like, oh my God, I could have slid a beer stein down a bar and landed on a spot. I'm guessing I've done that more times than anyone else in that house just because I've been drinking beer since before anyone else in the house was even born. So, yeah, there's a lot of competitions that would have been right up my alley. But whatever, expect the unexpected. I would rather be in a Big Brother season with all the tough physical challenges and at least get to do it than not even be there at all. So I'm not complaining at all. Thank you, CBS, for bringing me on. And if you ever bring me on again, give us more mental challenges. That actually sounds pretty good. Chiggy D, I love Team Fun. They're just so perfect description, huh? They're so much fun watching them because they just had fun playing the game. Robin, thanks for your information inside the game. Which people would leave Nicole alone? Yeah, you know what, Nicole? I'm not upset that she got booted out third and that Enzo went, but it's not out of dislike for Nicole. It's just because I thought that Cody booting Nicole when he did showed that he was playing a strategic game, that he wasn't relying on emotion. He was doing what he needed to do to give him the best chance to win the game. And after he had picked Derek in season 16 and lost 500,000, I wanted him just to be focused, straight up strategy and not ever get burned by playing an emotional game. So I was happy to see him do it because I just felt like that finished up his redemption tour of this season. So it wasn't dislike for Nicole. It was just his game is why I was happy to see it happen. Props to Nicole. She came in there with a huge target on her back. Did she really throw all the competitions early, or was she just not winning that many? I don't know, and I don't know if I care either way. But at the end of the day, saying that you're going to intentionally create a weak person in the house so that you aren't a target, That makes sense, and I think it gets you a long way into the game. But does it ever get you to the winner's position if you play that kind of game? I don't think so. I think you just have to take chances and play as strong as you can for the most part. And so, it is what it is. But I've got major props to Nicole for playing the game that she played and for getting as far as she did. I don't think she deserved to win, so I'm perfectly happy with the results. But I got no huge issues with the way she played the game. All right, so let's see what else. You should be on Jeopardy, Amanda says. I watch Jeopardy every single day, and there are some categories that I just march through, and I think the same thing. Man, I ought to be on Jeopardy. And then they bring up categories, 15th century Italian operas. And I'm like, yeah, maybe I'm happy just sitting here watching it in front of the TV because I would be. We saw Enzo in the finale get a little upset about his performance with those swinging pigs and all that. Ask me opera questions from the 15th century, and you're really going to see someone that gets a little upset because as bad as Enzo did, I would have done worse. But yeah, I watch Jeopardy every single day, so thank you. I appreciate you throwing me that support. Pumpkin Hallie saying, what's your favorite season of Big Brother to watch? All right, I'll throw out two of them to you. The first one has got to be season 8 with Evil Dick and Jen. I just love that season. That's the first full season that I watched. And so maybe it's just because it was so new for me as a person, as a viewer. It's why I always remember that one a little bit especially. But there was just a lot of drama in that house. Danny and Dick as father-daughter, and Jen in there being upset that her picture, she didn't like it on every wall. It was just a fun season to watch. The other season that was probably my other favorite, is it 14? I hope it's 14. The Ian Terry one. I thought that was, I think it's 14. Ian was in the house, Brittany, Mike Boogie, Dan Giesling, Janelle was in there. Just a lot of fun players. Danielle was in there as well. It was just a fun season to watch. So those are my two favorites. There's other seasons like 16 that Derek won. From a strategy standpoint, I suppose that was a good one. But in some ways, I like to see the drama. I like to see something like season 20. Who flipped? Faute versus level 6. Is it the best strategic play? No, but it sure is fun to watch sometimes. So yeah, but I gotta say 8 and 14 may be two of my favorites. And I'm sorry, guys, if I'm getting behind these comments. I'm gonna try to get caught up. Y'all know me. I like to talk so much. Bright Star, did you ever watch all the footage of your season? And did it change your views of the house guest? Any aha moments? First answer, no. I still have watched about halfway through, and that's it. And I guess I need to watch some more. I was so busy with this season, and it's just I feel like I still feel like I lived it so much I don't need to see it. Now I've had people say, "Oh, so and so was talking behind your back. So and so was making fun of the way that you were running, or so and so was laughing about you snoring, or this and that." It doesn't change. They can say whatever they want about me, and I don't care whatsoever because we are a lot of different people playing that game, forced to live together. And if they want to laugh about some of my behaviorisms, I'm fine with that. It doesn't matter. I consider them all friends. And there wouldn't be any big aha moments. The bigger aha moments that I've heard so far maybe have been some of the, not the emotion or the way they just talk about you, but more just the strategy side. I know little things like hearing that Mickey was telling Holly towards the very end that he was so scared of facing me in a jury, and that there was no way that he wanted me as part of a final two with him or Holly or anything. Yeah, things like that. I kind of thought the same thing, but I didn't know that he thought it. I thought that I was able to play down and look like just a guy who can't win anything, that's not going to do anything in a final three, and therefore, why not take me along? Just drag me along because it's not going to make a difference. But then I hear that, like, okay, it makes a little more sense for some of the things that happen. So some of those aha moments. Christie talking very early, saying, "Oh, Cliff's going to be so great at these tactile puzzles. We got to get him out because he's going to dominate some of those types of competitions." I wasn't aware of those, so those are maybe some aha moments. But yeah, whatever. It's interesting to see everyone's thoughts as they played the game. But no, I need to go back and watch the rest of them. Maybe now Big Brother's over, that's going to be something I try to do. I've got them all recorded. I just haven't watched them yet. Cliff should be an influencer for Whataburger. Yeah, that'd be great, but I'd probably eat all the profits and wouldn't fit on this screen that y'all are sitting here watching right now. The most dangerous thing in my life probably could be Whataburger saying, "Here's an unlimited gift card. Go eat our products and promote us." Now, you'd be seeing about 10,000 posts a day from me and Whataburger, and I'd be happy for a couple of months, but then maybe not so maybe not so much. But yeah, it'd be fun. Waterburger, if you're watching, call me. I'm sure we could work something out. Would I go back on Big Brother? Josh is asking. Yeah, absolutely. In a heartbeat. I wouldn't even pack. That just tell me I'll be on the airport in 15 minutes. Y'all can buy me a few clothes once I get there, I suppose, and I'll be fine. Yeah, I would. Now that being said, I'd have to ask my wife. It was a sacrifice from her and from my kids, the family, and everything. So it's not as though it would be a decision that would just be purely mine. I got to do it in conjunction with the family. But would I be willing to? Yeah, absolutely. I never say no to adventure. Same thing with Survivor. Thomas the Talker saying, yeah, I'd do Survivor as well. I've watched Survivor. That and Amazing Race started, or that and Big Brother started at the same time. So I've loved them both. I've watched every episode of both. Amazing Race I didn't start till, I keep saying Amazing Race. Big Brother didn't start till season 8, so I guess I missed a few. But yeah, since then I've watched every episode of both shows. So I'd certainly would do either one of those. Can you retire from being an influencer? I don't know. I retire rich as being an influencer if what I hear from some of these people is true. So glad you joined the YouTube family. Devon said she'll have her own channel real soon so she can spill some tea. All right, well, I'm going to have to be watching for that. I'm curious to see what she may say as well. She had such an up and down season. I spent the first half of the season saying I really felt like she and Bailey were doing something well because they seem to be trading the line between kind of the underdogs, Janelle and Kaiser and that side, and then Cody and the other side, the kind of the new school versus old school. I felt they were right in the middle and making things happen. But unfortunately, sometimes if you're in the middle, that means that no one feels super loyal to you on either side. And I think that to some degree is what got caught up with them. And then it just fell apart from there. But she was surprised with America's Favorite House Guest, wasn't she? So she kind of had her own ups and downs as she went through this season. How's the slop taste? Ed, all right, how does slop taste? Picture the most bland oatmeal that you could ever imagine. No sugar, no sweetness or anything, just straight up oats. They had protein powder thrown in there as well, which just makes it a little bit more of a pasty taste to it. You cook it up, and there you are. It doesn't taste bad. It just doesn't taste like anything at all. Now, I tried it. I was never have-not because we only had have-nots for a couple of weeks, and I was never eligible for it. But I tried it, and I really think I could have put enough syrup in there and some sugar and things like that, and it would have been okay. The problem isn't just that you're eating slop. It's that you can't eat anything else at all. That all the other meals that would supplement that slop are off limits. So I know Enzo spent some time, I think a few of them just eating nothing but olives and some pickles. I would have been doing a lot of that, I think, if I'd been on slop for an extended period of time. So it doesn't taste terrible, but it sure doesn't taste like anything that you go out of your way to try again. Mike Mo, how much do you get paid per week as a stipend? I'm still under contract. I'm not sure exactly how much I'm allowed to say. We get a stipend, and it's okay. It's not a huge amount. It's a little bit. I'm guessing that the people this season probably got a little bit more than we did, but I don't know that for sure. All right, let's see. You and Nicole could have gone after Holly in Night Moves. Yeah, I know, and we would have. We would have worked together, and we would have made it happen. Whatever. I would have had a better chance in Night Moves as well. Cliff, would you love to see a quadruple eviction? I don't know, Balin. That gets a little tough when you've got that many people going home, thinking that far ahead. I don't know. The dynamics change so much. If you're talking about a quadruple from the start to the finish, I don't know. It'd be interesting. The only reason I maybe wouldn't want to do that is because then suddenly you get the season shortened so much if you get rid of so many people on a single night. Unless you suddenly have a whole lot of battle backs. And I'm kind of a fan of battle backs for some obvious reasons. But yeah, I don't know. I'm fine with seeing another triple. Now, here's the beauty. Because they had a triple this season, that means next season for Big Brother 23, every week people are going to be worried not just about a double, they're going to be worried about a triple eviction occurring. Now that's happened once, they're going to suspect it's going to happen again. And so they're going to be trying to plan for it. They're going to have to be thinking that many more moves ahead than they normally would. So it's going to it's just going to be a ripple effect for all the next few seasons going forward. And that's what I liked about that triple, besides just that night itself, is the fact that it just carries forward from this point on. BB21 was strictly physical competitions, Bright Star saying. Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. It was very uneven. I'd seen some things that showed every season up to 21 was getting more and more physical and less mental competitions. And I really feel like we reached the peak on my season, which for me was very unfortunate, but it is what it is. All right, let's see. What else? Mike Mo. So I saw that one. I like BB21 comps better than BB22 comps. Josh, you saying. In some ways, but I think some of that was COVID. It was just tougher. Like we didn't have slip and slide, or they didn't have slip and slide this season. They didn't have hide and go veto. Those are both competitions that I love watching being played. But because of COVID and all, I think it just wasn't a possibility. I could pick out competitions from my season and from this season that I really like more than others. And expected. The really cool ones, the not so cool ones. It's just part of the game. Let's see. Cody dominated the game. Bright Star says absolutely. He dominated both strategically and competition-wise. He did everything. If there was ever a season where you deserve a 9-0 vote, it's probably Cody's. Now I know people talk about pre-gaming and how that was unfair and all that. And I get it. I just soon not see pre-gaming any more than anyone else. But that only carries you so far. You still have to win the competitions once you get in the house, and he did that. I see. Nicole said she threw those competitions and she was purposely playing weak. I know she said that, and maybe she was. But again, it makes it tough to win at the end when you do that. All right. Gosh, guys, I'm so sorry. I'm so far behind on these. I want to see Cliff on Amazing Race. I would love to do Amazing Race, Betsy. I would love to go on there either with my son or my daughter, because that would be such a cool bonding moment. And they are so smart and they are so athletic. They could carry their dad. I'd have the travel expertise. They'd have all the other expertise. So I think we would play well together. If I couldn't do it with one of my two kids, it'd be fun to go on the show with Nicole Anthony, because she's never traveled anywhere. So me going all over the world, her not necessarily being a traveler, would be a fun contrast. I also think it'd be a lot of fun to do the Amazing Race with Kat Dunn. I don't know how well we do, but we'd certainly have some laughs while we were racing around the country dealing with some of these situations and such. Let's see. Ed Brewer saying the editing was so good in the older seasons of Big Brother. Yeah, but I almost can't watch those old seasons that are in standard def TV. You watch those old seasons and you see just how far we've progressed in terms of TV and broadcasting and everything else, right? It's night and day watching some of those old ones. Thomas the Talker, if Camp Comeback never happened, do you think Jackson still would have won? I don't know. That's a good question. I think so, because the people that he nominated for banishment were myself, Jessica, David, and Kimmy. I don't know if it would have made a big... We were all the underdogs. We were all outside that big alliance. So the first half of the season probably would have gone just the same way as it did even with Camp Comeback. So I don't know if that made a huge difference. I don't like any twist that involves someone going home the very first day, though, or even decisions having to be made on the very first day, like we had with Mickey having to make those decisions on day one before he even had a chance really to talk to any of the rest of us. I just think it makes it too easy for people to make decisions based on stereotypes, assumptions, not getting the chance to actually develop relationships with anyone in that house before you have to make decisions like that. I don't like that. I would, if I had my way going into future Big Brother seasons, because we saw it this season too, where the very first night we saw an HOH crowned, Cody won that. And so before anyone could develop relationships, everyone's having to gravitate towards Cody because he had the power. I would love to see a season where you go, if not a full week, at least 3 or 4 days, where no one is in charge. No one knows who the first HOH is going to be, so that everyone gets to know each other and develop relationships without having any kind of power structure existing in that house. Then you have the HOH competition, or then you have banishment ceremonies, so whatever twist you want to throw in. But all of a sudden now it's based a lot more on who actually has been playing the game, who has developed relationships, promise, loyalty, whatever the case may be. I just think that's more fair a way to do it. But my hint for next season, if anyone in charge is listening. Lori Lyon, any wedding date set for your kids? Do you love having a bonus son and daughter? Absolutely. My future son-in-law, my future daughter-in-law, incredible people. They've They better be. They better be, because my kids deserve someone like that. But yeah, I'm so happy to have them in the family. As far as wedding dates, now with COVID and all that, still planning and stuff going on, but nothing set in stone yet. Things still being worked on. And hey, is the father of the bride, is the father of the groom. I've quickly learned it's not up to me anyway. I'm just the one to sit back and say, yeah, tell me when it happens. I'll make sure I'm there and do what I can to in terms of support. But now nothing set in stone yet. But I'm excited about it. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I am absolutely thrilled to have 2 new additions to our families. Anything that you can spill we may not know about behind the scenes of Big Brother, Alexis is asking. Alexis, the biggest thing that people don't realize is just how much downtime we have on there. When you watch it on TV, the CBS episodes especially, you see an hour of just action-packed competitions, funny little conversations that we all laugh about and everything. If you watch a live feed, you see a little bit more of the downtime. But even that, because you as a viewer, when you're watching live feeds, if something else, if you get a phone call going on, if there's something else going on, if The Bachelor is on TV, you can switch over, do your thing, then come back and try to get back into the Big Brother world. Inside that house, it is 24/7. There's no getting away from it. I just remember sitting there at times thinking, oh my God, this is so incredibly boring in here. I just want to do something else from a mental stimulation standpoint, especially when we didn't have the backyard. When you went out in the backyard, you could get in a little sunshine and the breeze and hear squirrels, and you could hear just little things, hearing cars on the streets around you, hearing the occasional horn honk, just let you feel like you were back in touch with the rest of the world. When you're inside that house and there is no communication whatsoever from the outside world, it just drills on you. It digs on you, where you just feel like you're just enveloped with this blanket all the way around you. And so that was the toughest part for me, as far as some inside scoops. What else is inside scoop? I've had a lot of people say, "Oh, everything's scripted." It's not scripted. Oh, there's people probably running around with cameras all the time. Nah, no cameras. Even in the diary room. That is one thing, Alexis. In the diary room, there was no one in there asking us questions. It was a camera pointing at us, a little speaker off to the side. That we would hear voices coming back and asking us questions. In season 20, in fact, Haley, whenever she would talk to Julie during the eviction episode, she'd say, "Hello, Julie, you look wonderful." It was her looking at the speaker where Julie's voice was coming from. That's why she would always turn this way and talk to the speaker, because there was no one else. There was no one in there. We didn't even have a camera screen. We couldn't see Julie on a TV screen or anything. It's just the camera pointing at us. So there you go. All right, Dolores. David said he would do Big Brother again, but not with All Stars. I don't blame him for that. He had a trial by fire, didn't he? Do you agree? Is he talking that he'd go in with totally new players? Yeah, I'm sure he would love to do that. And now that David has some experience, because he was a newbie. I mean, he didn't have the experience that all these All Stars had, and he had a lot of catching up to do. If he ever came back in another season, I think he understands it now, and he could do some things that he didn't get was kind of behind the 8 ball this time. That being said, I'm not certain that any one of those 16 people that were in the house this season that we ever see again in a season of All Stars or anything else. I just think that they've kind of completed their circuit. Now, it's just me, it's just my personal opinion. But I kind of see them probably as being done at this point, and future All Stars would take other people that we haven't even seen the game played yet. So, yeah, it's not going to be another, I don't know, how long, 6, 7, 8 years maybe before you have another All Stars, guessing. So there's a lot of people to be developed between now and then. And so I don't know that we'll see David or anyone else back. But if he comes back, I'm going to be cheering for him again. All right, let's see. So, and guys, if I missed one of your questions, I apologize. I'm trying to stay caught up, but ask again because I probably just missed it. Definitely a thread on my season. Thank you, Bright Star, and cheering me on. Thank you. I tried. I tried everything I could, and I'd like to think that from the battle back on, I kind of made my mark in a season, and people took me a little bit more seriously than they probably did before, and that makes you feel good, right? That makes you feel a little bit cool. All right. Again, sorry guys if I'm missing some of these questions. Let's see, Chickadee. We have to manifest this for you. Survivor, an amazing race. That would be a lot of fun. Yeah, cross-track. If Cliff eats a Whataburger on a skateboard, maybe. Yeah, you put me on a skateboard and may be on America's Funniest Home Videos. I'm not sure I'm going to be in a promotion for Whataburger, other than the fact I may be wearing Whataburger all over my face and clothes and everything else. Yeah, don't put me on a skateboard, or at least don't put me on a skateboard that's moving. If I'm just standing there, Hey, move the scenery behind. Make it look like I'm riding along like the guy was, but yeah, otherwise maybe not so much. Uh, Gracie, I felt like Bay and Day wanted to be with different sides of the house. I think that worked well for them because uh, they kind of were, they were interacting with different sides of the house, and they were coming together to share the information. That's what I thought made their duo work so well for a while, and then the wheels kind of came off. Let's see, Cliff or Amazing Race. Thank you, Dolores. That would be fun. Yeah, Alexa saying they got 40K just walking in, an extra 12,000 for making it to jury. Sounds pretty good to me. Hey, Keisha did pretty well for a week or two of sequester and then a week in the house, right? There's worse ways to make a living. Dolores saying I wasn't a fan of the triple eviction. Thought it really messed up the week. Yeah, I wish it hadn't been spoiled because I really wanted to see everyone thinking they were through and breathing that sigh of relief. Oh, we made it through the double. And then have Julie say, oh, no, we aren't through yet, guys. Let's do one more. I wanted to see the triple just for the shock drama more than anything else. And then the secret got kind of spoiled, and that was unfortunate, but whatever. What do you think about two doubles instead of a triple? I'm fine with that. We spent so much time in that house during my season every week saying, I bet this is double eviction. I bet this is double eviction. I think we went 4 or 5 weeks. And then when it finally happened, it's like, oh, see, we were right. We knew when the double was going to happen. Well, yeah, you make a guess every week, and eventually you'll be right. Why do you think Nicole unfollowed Cody? I don't know. She may just want to step away for a little while. She may not be upset with Cody. It may just be that she doesn't want to see a lot of congratulations and him thanking people and talking about how wonderful an experience it was, because it's got to hurt. I mean, anyone. It hurt me when I got evicted. Emotion aside, you're playing a game in front of a lot of people. So I can see how it would hurt her to see Cody or everyone else talking about how wonderful the season was and how much fun they had when she felt at the end that it just didn't work out for her. So she may have just unfollowed him just to step away from it. No hard feelings, but just because she just has to take a break. And that's perfectly valid. And I'm not ever going to fault her for that. So it very well could be nothing more than that, Jake. Bright Star, wish CBS would do a follow-up show of past house guests. That'd be a lot of fun, I guess. But here's the thing. Most of us, we're just regular people. Yeah, fans may be disappointed if you follow up on past house guests and find out that most people are just regular people, got married, had kids, had jobs, whatever. You got a few people that stand out that we all see on the social media and all that. For the most part, though, that's. I talked to Lane from was he season 11 with Memphis and everyone. I met him at a meet and greet because he lives up in North Texas, and Lane went back oil field sales. He's a fantastic guy. I would love to go hang out with him more. We're both in oil and gas and everything, but he did his little thing, and then he just moved back. He's a regular old person just like the rest of us. So yeah, follow up may be a little more boring. Maybe even more boring than Big Brother All-Stars, huh? But that's okay. Yeah, we do our little stint as the show, and then you go back to being the regular person that you are, for the most part. Let's see. Since COVID's a thing and there's no Survivor for a while, they should do a season of Big Brother Outplay Outlast. Boston Rob or Sander in the Big Brother house. That would be very interesting. I don't know. I have to think about how they do. I don't know if they would do great or they would not. Love to see you and Ovi in the Amazing Race. Oh, I'd love to have Ovi on there. That'd be so much fun. We would have we could have a lot of fun. I'd love that. All right, Cliff. Every year I pray for the pressure cook endurance competition. I'd love to see that. I would have sat in there for days on end. You wouldn't have gotten me off that wall or out of that little cube. But yeah, and they did that in Brazil. Last year or two, Big Brother had one down there, and it lasted forever, the competition. I'd love to see it up here. I don't know that we'll ever see it again, but it'd be fun. Let's see. What's it really like in the diary room? I don't know. It's just a little room. There's nothing to it. Again, you just have a camera pointed at you. There's very open-ended questions. Some person, this random voice will say, hey, Cliff, what's been going on today? Or tell us what you're thinking. What? We know you had that conversation with Christie just now. What are you thinking about it? So it's very open-ended, and then you just talk. And every once in a while, there may be a question about saying, well, do you believe them? Or, things like that. But the diary room is pretty much what you see. But you talk for hours sometimes. Sometimes it's just a quick little conversation. And they have all these conversations that they can then tighten up and have just a few minutes here and there to do their thing with. All right, let's see. Have you heard of any winter season rumors? I haven't heard anything, Jacob. I personally think that everyone's just going to take a break, get a big breath of fresh air, hope that by the time we get Big Brother 23, COVID's a thing of the past and they can do just a regular season. So I personally, and I don't know anything more than y'all do, but I think we won't see anything this winter. I just don't think they have time to get ready for it. How is it in recapping events in Diary Room? Does someone walk you through the moments and ask you to react? Yeah, a little bit, Dolores. Yeah, y'all have all seen things like, in this veto, our job is to make sure that we go up and down the ramp while filling up a beer stein with beer. And first, we have to do the little narrative, and that's kind of, you're led a little bit. We need to make sure that people understand that you're slippery on this slope. We need to make sure that you're filling up a beer stein. So there's little comments made about make sure you include this when you talk about it. But beyond that, we're just basically said, hey, tell us what went on in this competition. So it is what it is with that. All right, let's see, what else? I think CBS will let David, and maybe Enzo come back. Everyone else know. Maybe Alexis. Davon, how many times has she been on, though? 4 times. And now, with that being said, she's also now one of America's favorite house guests. I could, only because she's already been out 4 times makes you think we may not see her again. But other than that, then, yeah, I could potentially see it. Enzo, I don't know. I think Enzo's reached out. He got his final 2, which he won. I was so happy to see him get because it meant so much to him. But I don't know that we see Enzo come back. Now, having said that, maybe coming back as a coach like we saw in season 14, I can maybe see Davon and Cody coming back as some kind of just a side role where they're helping newbies or something. Something like that maybe could happen. But as a full-blown contestant, I don't see it personally. But I may be wrong. And I wouldn't be upset if I was wrong either. Bright Star, is it really super bright in the house? Enzo say he brought his shades. Yeah, it gets a little bright. There's lights everywhere, for fluorescent lights, spotlights. They don't want any shadows anywhere. And so after a while, it gets to wear on you a little bit. I had some sunglasses, but I didn't wear them that much in the house. But yeah, it's a little bit bright. And I did wear some caps and things like that. The worst part is when you're trying to sleep, because the lights don't turn off until everyone's in the room that's sleeping in that room. And then when you're trying to keep your eyes closed and sleep, that's when it really gets on you, because the lights just seem incredibly bright. Now, yeah, you can pull a blanket over your head and things like that, but the house tends to be really hot because all those lights are turned on everywhere. So then you reach a situation, do I leave the blankets off and I can't sleep because these bright lights are shining through my eyelids and all that? Or do I pull a blanket up over my head and then I'm going to not be able to sleep because I'm just so hot underneath the blankets? There's no win situation in that point in time. Mona Walters. Hello, Mona. I see you out there on YouTube all the time. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Joshy, I hope they don't make triples a new thing. Well, that's the thing. They don't have to. As long as they just do it every once in a while, so you never know if one may come up. That's enough to make people a little bit nervous through the whole time. While in the house, did production make a lot of noise? House guests always say they need sleeping aids. I didn't hear that much. Every once in a while, you'd hear little random things behind a wall. Once or twice, we heard a cell phone go off, and I felt so sorry because someone maybe got in trouble for that. Once or twice, you'd hear some kind of little whisper that someone's a little louder than they probably were supposed to. Every once in a while, you would hear noise as like a camera. You could hear it sliding along whatever rail it is or whatever behind the windows or the glass. So, we would hear stuff here and there, but it really wasn't that loud. They did a good job of staying very quiet outside the walls and make us feel like it was just us. Every once in a while, but not that often, really. You and Christie for All-Star Story. I would love to play with Christie. I would love to play with Tommy. There's a few people in the house that'd be fun to play with again. Christie has a real passion for the game. It's a shame that we never could work together because I admired her from a gameplay standpoint. And we just started off on different sides and never could make it happen. Did you ever see the clip of Christie listening to you outside the boat room talking to the camera? Oh, yeah. No, I've seen that clip quite a few times, and it kind of a little stab to the heart every time I see it. It's like, I can't believe that. It's so horrible. It could have been so much worse, though. If Christie had kept her mouth closed, if she hadn't told anyone else, if she had come back and listened more mornings after that, she could have gotten so much more information. She could have used it to leverage me. If she'd approached me and said, Cliff, I heard everything you said. I'm not going to say anything to anyone else, but you owe me. And if you don't play ball with me, then I may have to spill the beans. There's a lot of things she could have done to really leverage that information much more. But instead, she just immediately went and told everyone. And then it was out in the air, out in the open, and it was what it was. And In some ways, I think it helped me. One, because everyone knew my game at that point in time, so I kind of changed my tact a little bit. I went into Tommy and said, Tommy, here's my whole game plan. I know that y'all are all duos, and y'all know you're duos, so I'm not telling you anything that's news. I said, but I'm also not coming after y'all. I'm going to wait for y'all to fall apart because I know you eventually will, and then I'd love to just be there when you're trying to pick up the pieces and work with you. So I became very open about how I wanted to play the game, and in a lot of ways, I think that helped me. It also helped that after Christie told everyone, Mickey came down and listened the next morning, and he just happened to hear me saying how I kind of wanted to work with him and Holly, that I trusted them more than anyone else in that big alliance. And so it helped us work together, and I think that helped my game also. So it could have been a whole lot worse, but yes, I've seen that clip many a time, and it kills me every time I see it. Let's see. Carl Johnson, do you play Grand Theft Auto San Andreas? I have, but not in a long time. Just don't have enough hours in the day to pull out the old Xbox and play again. But I like playing it. I just haven't done it in quite a while. All right, Instagram. Let's see. What else? 7:51. I'm going to answer some questions I had on Instagram here in just a second, guys. But let me look at a few of these. In one of the posts, Nikki McKibben, I saw that from American Idol passed away. I don't know any of the details, but I did see that in the news. Bright Star, one of the post interviews, Cody alluded to always wanting to take Enzo to the final two. I didn't think he was going to do it. I really thought he was going to take Nicole, which I didn't think was the best play, but he did it, and it made Enzo so happy. Enzo, yeah, I know he wanted to win first place, but he knew he wasn't going to win. Just being in second, getting the extra money, and being in that final seat in front of the jury and all, it meant so much to Enzo, and I was really cheering for Enzo as well. I wish he'd made some big moves. He could have taken this game a little different direction a few times, and he just didn't do it. All right, Whiskey Project, glad to caught you live. Well, I'm glad you caught me live as well. I'm going to be doing it every Monday from this point on, so thanks to all of y'all. Will you go back if they ask you for the next All-Star? Yeah, of course I will. Yeah, you bring me on there, absolutely. Cliff, when you voted for Mickey to win, did you think he was really going to win over Holly? Yeah, I think so, because I really didn't think, based on the jury roundtable and the conversations I heard at that point in time, I didn't think people were giving Holly much credit for the game that she had played against Mickey. He had won so many more competitions, and even little things like, telling that whole lie about that he got Nicole and I with, throwing the rogue vote when it was Kimmy versus Jessica. Mickey, from start to finish, had done a lot of things strategically, and so I didn't think people were really giving Holly enough credit for anything that she did. It was tough, though, because I came into that round table having not spent time with any of those jurors. They'd all been in the jury house, so they had all hung out and talked to each other and everything. I didn't have that. I came in just cold, not knowing who had been saying what, who had been sharing what stories. So I wasn't really sure how anyone was going to vote, except for what I heard just in that couple of hours of the jury roundtable. But based on that, I didn't think Nicole and I didn't think that Holly really had any chance whatsoever. The only chance Holly would have had would have been if she had won that final competition with Mickey and she had chosen to take, if she'd chosen to take Nicole, I think Holly wins. I think if she had chosen to take Mickey, Mickey probably wins, but she may have swayed some votes just by saying, look, the only reason Mickey's even here is because I won the final competition. But once Mickey won that final one and he chose who went to the end with him, I think it was a done deal at that point in time. Dave Vaughn may come back to host the roundtable. That'd be fun. I'd be fine with that if that happened. Nothing against Dr. Will, but I'd like to see someone maybe who's played a few seasons here lately as well, and see what their thoughts are also. All right, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and answer some questions. What do you think of a second chance this season with just returners who never made it to jury? Lawrence, I would like that. I've seen people say, oh, how about a first boot type situation? The only people who got booted first. I don't know that I want to see that, but I'd love to see one that has all pre-jury people. Then there's a few first boots. Cameron, Glenn. I talk to Glenn every once in a while. I would love to see Glenn come back into the game. He deserves it. He didn't get rooked. I'd like to see him come back in. He kind of got rooked. But yeah, I'd love to see just pre-jury people, because I do think there's people who had good game and just circumstances, the way things happened, they didn't get a chance to show it. So I'm all for that kind of season. All right. Did I ever watch the beginning of Big Brother where they had chickens and lizards and dogs? Yeah, I remember the chickens. I don't remember lizard, but yeah, I watched the first part of that season with Eddie. He was from Fort Worth, which is where I'm from, and watched him win that season. And it was tough because I know the voting was different. The American public was voting on who was nominated, who went home. I don't remember at this point in time. A little bit different season, but yeah, I remember watching that. All right. See, so let me go some questions. I'll try to catch some more of these questions, guys, if I get a chance. But just while I'm thinking of it, uh, Tamis LaGill said, "What do you think happened between Christmas and Memphis?" I've heard that, and I've been asked that a few times. Here's the thing: in that house, you get so stressed, you get so paranoid, so you tend to gravitate towards those people that you think you can trust, that you know you can trust. And I think that's what happened in this situation. Was it a romantic situation? Who knows unless they tell us. I think it's much more likely that they were just growing incredibly close, just because their games were so dependent upon one another, because they were sharing information to some degree more than with other people. They felt like they were a duo that was going to ride or die, win or lose together. And that tends to pull people together. And I think it's probably much more likely just that. And you just begin feeling friendly, because when you have someone that you think you can trust, it makes all the difference in the world versus everyone else in that house that you just think is trying to backstab any chance you get. So I think it's probably a lot more than that. If there was more to it than that, I'm not going to make that assumption unless one of the two of them tell us that, because otherwise, and you can start rumors that, who knows? I don't know that that's the case. I think it's just that they were trying to work together. All right. Another question. I say, we talked about how long it took to decompress, and we talked about my favorite season. So we got those taken care of. All right, let's see what else we've got on here. Ms. Sonia Cosell, is there a limit on the hot water use in the shower for the house guests? Kind of. I know we were told at one point in time that it is not unlimited hot water. So if someone hogs the hot water, it's on you, and you're going to just have to wait until the hot water heater fills back up, and we're not going to. It is what it is, guys. It did not seem to be a problem with our season. I don't remember people complaining too much about hot water. Now, for me, I always got up early in the morning while other people were asleep, so I took a shower first thing in the morning. I always had nice hot water. It was fantastic. But even upstairs in the HOH room, I think the water for the most part was always hot. The only time maybe it wasn't was on like eviction day on Thursdays, when everyone's trying to shower and get all cleaned up and prettied up and all of that. And then you had a lot of people waiting in line, and maybe it got a little more lukewarm, but it wasn't an issue for us like it seemed to be this season for the All-Stars. Maybe they just like to take longer showers. I don't know. All right, let's see. A huge fan, fella texted, well, howdy, Cutter. Appreciate it. Always wonder, is the backyard big? Because in some competition it looks massive, others kind of small. Yeah, the beauty of the set designs, right? Some of these sets, it looks like OTEV. Man, it looks like those are just gigantic backyards. It's decently long. Probably 30 or 40 yards long and maybe 20, 30 yards wide. I may be completely off on that, but no, it's a decent distance, enough that you can run back and forth when you're doing some jogs and it doesn't feel like you're just trapped inside. So it is a decent size, even the swimming pool and everything else that's there. I'll tell you one thing, in the summertime, that old artificial turf that's out there, that sun shining down, it's a long enough distance that you don't walk out there without sandals on, because it'll burn your feet within the first few feet. So everyone always had to wear shoes, because it's way too it's long when you're out there on that hot grass, that's for sure. All right, guys, it's 7:58, so I'm probably going to have to go ahead and shut this thing down. The Mole Man wants you and Christie to work together. Yeah, I wanted to as well, and I would have worked with them if we could have made it happen. Even towards the very end, I wanted to work, but I just couldn't trust them enough. Even more so when I found out that Tommy and Christie knew each other. How do you keep Tommy when you know that Christie's going to be working the jury on his behalf if he ever makes it to a final two? I feared Tommy so bad in a final two jury type situation. It would have been horrible. So yeah, I just never could trust them enough to work with them, but I wanted to, because they were so passionate for the game. All right, guys, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go and shut it down. It looks like we're pretty much caught up, so we'll shut it down. We'll call it an evening. Now here's the thing, I'm going to try to do Cliff Notes, maybe not every single morning, but I'm going to try to do a lot of little morning Cliff Notes. We'll talk a little bit. It's not live interactive like we've got on here, but I'll be back on Monday. We'll do it again. If you aren't already subscribed to my channel with your notifications turned on, please do so, because that way anytime I go live, you'll get notifications. And who knows, I may pop on here every once in a while and try to do a little random ones here or there. But certainly every Monday night I'm going to continue to do this. Thank y'all. I know it took extra effort on this first premiere evening on YouTube Live for y'all to find me, and I appreciate every single one of y'all for doing it. Any comments, questions, advice on how to do this going forward, just send me a DM, either on YouTube or on Instagram. I'm cliff.hog. Easy to find me. I've verified and all that. Send me some DMs. Let me know what's going on, and we're just going to keep fixing this. But it's so much fun talking Big Brother with y'all guys and all the reality shows. Y'all have a fantastic Monday night. If you didn't vote already, go vote. Please go vote. It's important that your voice be heard. So go vote. We're all going to be watching the elections. Hey, come next Monday, we may be talking about who we thought won because we still may not know. We may be doing that for a few weeks straight. Guys, y'all have a fantastic Monday. I will see y'all same time next week on YouTube Live. Look for my updates in the morning in between. Cheers, guys. Y'all have a great one. Bye. Bye.